Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How we doing today, Rockstar? Are you ready? Good. All right, let's kind of bring down the music. I got something special for you today. Today, I'm going to read to you from this very powerful book, From Darkness to Redemption. This quote right here, man. Your purpose in life should be to build your ultimate 10.0 version of yourself. But in order to do this, you must get rid of all that ails you, all the vices, all the weaknesses. You can't build a lighthouse on the sand. It must be on solid, indestructible, unbreakable, and unwavering foundation. What do you want? Rockstar. Today's show. Listening to that alone, you know it's going to be a good show. So, I'm Josafat Emiliano, and this is Hey Rockstar. Let's get this show going. And Miguel, do the thing, yo.
One, two, three. One, two, three. Let's go.
Hey Rockstar, welcome. This is a show devoted to bringing value to those interested in starting a side hustle or side business. Whether you're looking to be dual vocational, full-time, part-time, or sometime, I bet our stories will entertain you, encourage you, and empower you to become the rock star of your business and industry. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to Hey Rockstar, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today's guest is the author of this book that I just read to you. His name is Albert Chavez. I had the privilege of meeting him earlier this year in Dallas, and now I get to and then later on last month in California. I got to reconnect with him. We got to talk about this, and we said, "Hey, you got to be on the show. You got to share your story," because I got to hear him read it, and like I got to read some of this passage. So, Albert, welcome to Hey Rockstar. How you doing today, my man?
It's an honor, bro. It's a real honor to be on here. I know we chatted a couple of times, and I got to really see you in the light, in your platform on stage. So it was really nice. But no, I'm just honored that we get to talk, and honored that we get to share this, because it's a lot of valuable information that's not only men need to hear, but women.
Yeah. Most importantly, there has been a move to refine the man. Like for some reason, men have been lost in our country, or have been told that they are not acting like they were supposed to be. But I'm not gonna get into that right now. I'm just like saying, but there has been. As a matter of fact, last week, actually coming back from California, I went straight to another men's event that I got invited to go to, and I'm wearing a shirt called Kings and Sons. It was for fathers and sons, but not just that, but those who would be. It was a great time to reconnect with a lot of people I grew up with, but it was also a spiritual event. So, but you know, for those of you who are just joining us for the first time and have no idea what Hey Rockstar is, we're a storytelling platform. Basically, we exist to share the stories of leaders and entrepreneurs. Our goal is to entertain, encourage, and empower those who would love to live their greatest story as a leader and entrepreneur. So thank you for showing up. If you want to drop a comment, whether you're watching us on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you're welcome to drop the comment. If it's relevant to our conversation, I will gladly highlight it. If not, I'll try to get to them all at the end of the show. So being that this is a storytelling platform, hey, Albert, just, I know a little bit about your story, but why don't you just tell us what's your story?
What's my story? Interesting question. So my story is about a little boy who, quite frankly, sadly, was never loved. And he felt himself in a volatile way of life as an early child, but thought it was normal. and had to learn coping mechanisms to survive. Um, when you have a mom that leaves you at 5 years old for men and drugs, and then you have a father who's super abusive physically and verbally, the way I had to learn how to survive was to keep my mouth shut, keep everything bottled in, and figure it out my own way. So you fast forward that mentality as a teenager and then an adult, how I was able to control that was through alcohol, women, and then I became a father. And I never dealt with the wounding of that little boy. So over time, because I never dealt with that, I became a young dad, had 3 kids by 29, raising a family. I found myself in my 40s, divorced and basically lost. And then my end of my 40s, I'm 51 now, 47, I found myself literally hitting rock bottom because of alcohol, because of my verbal abuse. I went to jail and I found myself alone and had to really look in the mirror like, who do you want to be in life, Albert? And do you want to end up like all the dudes in the family before you, which were divorced, drunk, and alone? And the honest answer was no. So I declared in November 21st, 2019, that I was going to be the circuit breaker of my family. And I raised my hand for support. I asked for help. I got the support I needed, not only for my internal demons, but physically. I hired a personal trainer and I just went to fucking work. In 2020, when everybody was isolated, complaining and whining, I embraced it because I needed it. And from that, I put together a plan of the man that I wanted to become in this version of me. And I did everything I could to become that man. And that's what you're seeing today.
So you heard it there, folks. The first thing you gotta realize is well, you gotta take a good look at yourself. That's what you call it, acceptance, right?
Self-honesty.
Self-honesty. I like that too. I like that actually. Where everyone has to find that time in their lives, or the way that I like to share it is when I guess your life plan that you have set up, when it just stops working for you, and you gotta take a long hard look and like, well, am I identifying with this plan?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not working for me, then do I really want to stick around? What do I need to do? And I forgot who said it, but usually you're here today due to the choices you made yesterday or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So the beauty about that is, if you want to go somewhere, you need to. It's up to you. You can change the choices that are going to lead you to where you need to. So
Yep.
let's talk about the need for if you don't mind, just talking about the need to accept where you're at, the flaws if you want.
Yeah. So what I had to do is really take a look at what was going around me. And I had a lot of anger. I didn't realize it was built up. And so when you're alone in an apartment drinking a fifth of vodka every couple of days, I was 240 pounds. I felt like shit. I looked like shit. And I have adult kids that just didn't want to be around me. I thought they were the problem. And this is where I had this term where I turned the victim into a victor. Like
Mm.
I stopped blaming and complaining. And again, we all have a window that we look through as men specifically. I'm talking about men. Men do this all the time. They'll look at, like you and I are looking, they'll look through the windows like, you did this to me. You made me feel this way. And what I learned how to do is I went like this. Oh, I did that to me. Oh, I did that. So I turned the window into a mirror. And this is where the self accountability comes from that I talked about before, is like, it's not your fault that little boy was abused as a kid. It's not his fault that people just disregarded him. But I grew up, and it's for damn sure my responsibility as a man to fix that, what happened, and stopped recycling those emotions that most men do. We project, we complain, we blame because it's easier than taking self accountability and working through our weaknesses and the pain that we're going through. And most men, including my father, will never address his pain because there's so much in there that he doesn't know understand how to uncover it, but doesn't realize that the magic, Joseph, is in the work that you don't do. The magic is in the work you're avoiding. And it's the pain that you got to get through in order to find the paradise that's there. But people get stuck in the suffering and the pain because it hurts, not knowing that if they just spent a little more time understanding the root of the pain no longer exists. It's no longer self-inflicting because there's a belief system that we're holding on to that makes the pain real. When we change that belief system, the pain no longer is real. It's a figment, and we get to go deeper into figuring out there was a lesson behind that pain.
All right. I'm just going to say what everyone's thinking. All right. That sounds all good, bro. But how did you get to that point? How did you get to the point where you could actually decide to take ownership of your shit?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it really had to do with this. I remember really, I thought about killing myself for about 1 second. Okay. If I'm being real about that. Okay. 1 second. And that 1 second, there was so much pain because of what I would have caused my kids, my grown kids. And the legacy I would have left them was super selfish of me. I just said, and people have to understand this. You all wake up with a voice every morning. Two voices, your ego and your higher conscience. And your ego is loud. Don't do that. You can't do that. No one's ever done that. No one's ever been a millionaire. No one's ever had a shredded body like you. It's loud. It's very arrogant. And then you have this whisper. And the whisper says, I know you know you got to drop that 40. You know you got to stop overreacting. And it goes away. And it comes back. Bro, you're doing it again. I stopped listening to the ego and I listened to the whisper. And the whisper said, if you don't change this, you're going to turn out like your dad. Do you really want that? There's something greater for you. Honestly. And I held on to that little hope. It sounds so far-fetched, but I just held on. And when I knew I couldn't do it by myself, this is an important thing. How many men do you know won't raise their hand for help? Most won't. So I finally surrendered at 47. I don't have all the answers. Let me go hire a professional who can maybe get some of these things I'm stuck with. And I hired him. It wasn't cheap. It was really expensive. But I stopped taking everything personal. It's like, I need this for myself, not for my family, for myself to be a better man. Let me go hire someone who may be able to help. And when I hired him, I had that hope grew a little bit bigger. So doing the work is really surrendering to ask for help and then really taking time to be by yourself to do the work and not be distracted by other things in life. It was super hard.
Yeah. No, I totally, that's the one thing that I believe most men struggle with is reaching out for help. I remember one of my mentors when I first started and just learning about business, and he's like, I want to tell you something. You're gonna forget about it sometimes, but yes, you're in business for yourself, but you don't have to be in business by yourself. I'm a phone call away. I'm a text message away. But yeah,
So
I mean,
here's what's interesting, okay? This is what your audience needs to know, is it doesn't stop there. So you can make a decision to do something, but you have to act on it. To know and not to do is not to know. To know
say that again. Say that again.
To know and not to do is not to know. Okay? Because you can know what to do, but if you don't do anything, you talk about it, it's worthless. So I literally, at the same time, bro, when I hired my life coach, I saw my body, and this is what everybody's got to hear this. I knew I had to do inner work, but I also was disrespecting myself by how I was looking. I was 240 pounds. I'm 198 right now. Okay. I was 35% body fat. I'm 6% body fat now. But I had to hire now a personal trainer because I wanted my body. It just happened to be the planets were aligning to where go get your mind right, but go get your body right. Within this is where the obstacles come in. You can't just make a decision and make a move. You have to be so committed to the cause. It doesn't matter what comes in the way because you're going to have stuff coming your way. It's are you committed enough or are you interested? Are you committed in the cause or are you just interested? Being interested means you caught up in your stories. Oh, I hurt myself or my dad did this. So here's what happened. Within the first month of me having my personal trainer, I tore my right Achilles. That was an easy way for me to say, I guess I can't work out.
Mm.
You know what I said? I was like, bro, I guess I can't do cardio. Let's fucking go. And I just did other things. And it got me really to understand food. See, some people would say, I can't do that. No, it was a lesson for me to take a chill pill because my ego was still big. Great. This happened. Good. Now you can concentrate instead of trying to lift a bunch of weight. Now you get to hone in on stuff that was weak, your diet. I honed in on my diet, bro, and I got it down. Imagine if that didn't happen. I would have focused on the physicality, not what it really takes for fat loss, which is food. So I looked at it way differently. So again, all these challenges are going to come up when you make a decision, obstacles come in the way, and your job is to navigate and not resist the obstacle, but to go through the obstacle.
Woo. Thanks, good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. That's the. How long did it take you to get to that point, or was that always part of your nature?
So I would say the dog in me has always been there, but this was different because see, think about this. I'm gonna go on a tangent.
Go for
If
it.
I were to tell you, for example, bro, if you go to this agency, you can make $500,000 a year, and they're gonna tell you get up at 4 a.m. and you're gonna have to travel. If it was a line for you, you would say, sure, I'd do it. You'll do it for somebody else. But if I told you the same thing, hey, bro, I got a way you can make $400,000 a year. You got to get 4 a.m. and you're going to get shredded, but you have to follow this program I'm going to give you. And if you follow it, you got to be accountable to you and you're checking me once a week. You won't do it because you'll do it for somebody else for another reason. You won't do it for you. So this act was so important to me. I wasn't doing it for my kids. I wasn't doing it for people in my life. I wasn't doing it to get the ex-girlfriend back. This was a pride moment that I said, you've been asking for an answer. It's coming to you. You now get to fucking either put up or shut up. And I went to work. I had no outcome. My kids were not talking to me, bro. I was so alone. What you don't know is 7 months later, I broke my left leg before I went to the desert. No one cared about me, dude. Nobody checked on me. I just kept going. I kept going. It was not about the result. It was about I had to get through this muck in my life because I would let circumstances in my life always dictate my decisions. Most men your age and younger, okay, under 40, I'm saying that on purpose, uses circumstances to make their decisions, not the commitment to make to get followed through. And circumstances, I'm sick, I'm not feeling well, my girlfriend's in town, my mama's in town, as opposed to saying, no, doesn't matter what's happening. I said I was going to do this because my life is more important because this is my cause. Most folks will let the circumstance get in the way as opposed to the actual commitment to the decision to do what they got to do.
All right, folks, and that was good. That is good, and obviously, I'm on my own journey as well. This morning, I put my journal away because I'm taking notes on something else. But I did write down those of you who know that I'm in my 40s, and I literally wrote down to note to myself, my first 40 years had been devoted to putting others first and helping them find fulfillment. Because as you know, I help people find fulfillment. Well, because what's important to me is I want to finally find fulfillment for me. That's why I'm living my greatest story. And of course, I said, so the first 40 years of my life, it was for others. I think it's about time that I start putting me and working towards me and find fulfillment for me. But I know that helping others does bring me fulfillment.
Mhm.
But there's other things that I put on my list. We can talk that about more about that later, or maybe I'll just put another video on that later on for people to watch. But no, that is important, and why it took me so long to get that message. Why is it that so easy? And it's true what you just said, that when it comes to someone else doing it for other people, we would gladly say,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it." But when it comes to make that same commitment for ourselves, why? What is it that keeps us from doing it? And maybe it's that sense of that mentality. I've heard it again. I've heard it that men are the disposable sex. That's what I've heard. You've heard that we're the ones that are the saying this, and if this is your first time to hear this on wherever you listen to, I'm sorry, but they say that sperm is cheap. You know, that mindset, it's there, and of course we're getting out of the habit of blaming others, getting out of the habit of like, well, yeah, that was said, that was what programming me, but what do I want? That's why I had to read that quote that you had in your book, and the last question is, what do you want? That's been my hardest
Yeah.
mind obstacle, to give myself permission to actually go after what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. And you know what's interesting. So I'll break it down. There's a reason why. Okay. So men have to create their own value. Women out of the womb have value. Their value is life. Their value is life. Women and children is life. Men have to create structure. We have to create protection. We have to create, and that's why I stress for men. I talked to my son. So this is what happened with my son. Is my son could have been me, the old version of me. He saw his dad fall very far. And when I got up, actually I stayed there for a while. Stayed there, sat in it. When I came up, I have a tattoo. It's a phoenix from the ashes. He saw his dad in a different way, not only physically but mentally, and even how I talk. But what I'm saying is this: all of us have been programmed that we're only valuable when we go do something for somebody. We've never
Mm.
been taught the value of what value can I bring to myself to fill my cup so that the cup runneth over. It's not just a biblical term, it's a literal term for men. The only way you can give is when the cup runneth over, because everybody will take that last sip and they'll take your last drop. And if you're not careful, you will suffocate and you'll die from thirst because you're giving away your most precious asset, which is you. You give away your power, which is what I did. So, what I'm teaching men how to do is to regain that power by building their own self belief, by doing little commitments in the morning to gain confidence, to build wins so that when they go out into the world, you have 7 wins before 7 a.m. Now your cup runneth over. Now you're not waking up empty, cup runneth over. And then by 2 o'clock, instead of being empty, you're only half full still. Then you can come back to the program at 6 and run it over again and do it again. So the idea is to teach people, teach men how to learn how to give their own self-worth. It's like when you go on an airplane, they say if there's a pressure change, put the mask on you. I'm teaching men, put the mask on you first before your kids, just like the plane says, because when you do that, when you regenerate yourself, now you have enough so you can hold your breath and give that mask to someone else, because you've given yourself the honor and the self-discipline, the self-esteem. Now you can give it away because you have more runneth over. By the way, no one's talking about this shit. I'm
Yeah,
coming
no,
real.
no.
Coming real, because this is what's lacking. Why men your age and younger are hearing a different story is because they are not seeing the value in themselves. And then you look at them and how they're showing up body wise. You look at them and what they're doing or not doing, and they're being told and they're believing it, and now they're wondering what the fuck happened after 35 years. That was me. I thought my value was just being the dad and a husband. No, I never learned how to lead. I never learned how to be a leader within my family because I didn't know how to lead because I didn't grow up like that. So I had to reteach all these things I'm talking about, bro. Literally, just in the last 3 years, I've had to uncover for myself. Like to be, you know what women want, dude? There's one thing that women want from men. Do you know what it is?
Leadership.
Safety.
Oh,
They want to feel safe. Leadership is part of it, but they want to feel safe. You
yeah.
ask a woman right now, what do you need from me? Ask a woman. So what do you need from me? I want you to make me feel safe. And you know what men want? They want to feel respected.
Yeah.
But how can you get respect if you don't respect yourself? They ain't gonna respect you.
Mm-mm.
This is yin and yang going on to where they want safety, yet they're seeing you fucking drink with all your buddies and have a good time and do. How are you gonna feel safe around your man when he's acting a fool like girls? Girls want to have fun, not boys. Girls want to have fun. Cindy Lauper says that, not boys. So we have to be better men to where let's show up for our people, our family, as this individual who is respectful, dutiful, honorable by the way he looks, by the way he acts, by the way he shows up, and by his demeanor and his character. Not how much money he makes, not who he works for, and not what kind of house he has. What's his character like? And that is the foundation of my program is we're going to build the 10.0 version character who you most desire to be. And what we do is we strip away all the weaknesses to get to the studs, and then we rebuild. We deconstruct to reconstruct. And we do that with daily non-negotiable habits reinforced by action.
Yeah. There's so much we can go on that one. That in itself, no, because I'm starting to learn that lesson too.
Yeah.
By the circles that I run with, I've learned to, and that's kind of how I found the group that we're in now. I One of my mentors in sales, Taylor Welsh, once just taught me like the fastest way to grow your income is to get rid of the friends that aren't producing your life and find new ones. Of course, I didn't get rid of them like that, but like I started being more intentional in who I sought court with, who I wanted to speak with, who I wanted to rub shoulders with, and I started finding, especially in the more up. Well, I mean, I've met with both men and women, but mostly with men, they have these kind of conversations. They that's the first time they said you got to be selfish first. And I love what you wrote in the book, man. I'm not sure we can break down through it that much because if you haven't yet, I do recommend you Google search "From Darkness to Redemption" by Albert Chavez. Or actually, I should have gotten a link from you. That you could just people can order directly from you. That'd probably been easier. But we'll put it after the thought. But you were talking about the phrase humility and how we're taught to be humble, but humble doesn't serve us. It serves those who teach us to be humble.
Too
Or
much
tell us.
kindness, too much kindness breeds lack of accountability.
Yes.
Too much kindness brings lack of accountability. What that means is we've adopted this notion that we can't hurt your feelings. Like your feelings are more important than the principle. We've put feelings over principles. Feelings are fleeting. Principles are non-negotiable. So when you say, for example, it's if we're talking together and you're saying, oh Albert, I really appreciate the fact you're showing up, and it's okay that you're late, bro. I understand you're late to the call. I get like traffic. No, you could have planned for traffic, buffered a half hour. If it meant that important, you would have been punctual on time, because what that means is now I have respect for our time. But
Yeah.
too much kindness, now there's no accountability. I get away with it. Oh, okay, it doesn't really matter. It didn't bother him. No, it's disrespectful, and that's what we've lost. We've lost the accountability because we're afraid we're going to hurt people's feelings.
And that's one of the determining factors on who I spend more time with. Those who, not so much flakers, but those who wait last minute to flake, or those who are very late and show up like, oh, whatever. I'm like, I love you, man, but that's so disrespectful. Especially if I made the time to show up and be here early or on time. But no, 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 yes. Okay, so you started mentioning things in your book, and I started getting me curious. Okay, so guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you are familiar with our platform, we are going off script here because I definitely want to pick his brain right now that I have his chance before he has to jump on another call. But there's several things actually, but the one thing that jumped out to me is the rite of passage that you went through. Of course, that whole story is phenomenal, especially given what you mentioned earlier about you broke your leg and going through all that stuff. I can imagine just being out there to begin with is is tough and works on you. But going with that same mentality shows the commitment you have. And I wound up researching, and I went and Googled search this retreat, and I saw some of the videos of what's his name, Jenny or Jetty.
Yeah, JD Zuma. Yeah.
Yeah, I went and watched some of his stuff, and they talk about the same thing you just shared about your commitment, the commitments you make, especially the time. If you commit to it, then you need to say, for your sake, you need to keep that word.
Yeah.
Because we are too forgiving, and I'm not saying not to forgive, because you and I have gone through the same journey with our HIC team, and we talk about forgiveness and how it's important to forgive for ourselves to be free to move forward, to find the power to work forward through that. But anyway, I like that idea, and in a way, I felt like I've kind of missed out on that. So I'm gonna ask you more about that and learn more about how maybe I want to try that journey, that 4-day fast on my own. But besides that, how important in your opinion, or just in your experience, is some kind of rite of passage from a boyhood to manhood?
Yeah. So interesting question, because I'll ask it this way. I'll ask you a question.
Okay,
and
far
answer.
away.
Have you ever had this thought, this nagging feeling that you missed out learning how to be a man at times?
I have.
That's what I'm referring to. That feeling, I think all men have it. And that's what the rite of passage is. It's acknowledging that there is a bridge, and some of the old customs used to have them. In these tribes, there was an actual ceremony, a ritual. There was a ritual done that says we have to acknowledge, like right now we have it in the Spanish culture. It's called a quinceañera
Oh yeah.
for girls, right? But why do we have it to celebrate women, but we forgot about the men? That's what the cultural talks about, right? So for me, I've heard of it. I knew what I was missing, but when it was talked to me in a way where, think about this, I was 47, bro, when I went. A rite of passage from a boy to a man. What I realized, like, I needed to, not wanted to, I needed to go through this for several reasons. Number one, it was in my DNA that I had to go to this journey spiritually. But number two, I felt like this little boy in me was so angry that he needed some sort of soothing, that it's okay to become a man. And number three, I also had this warrior mentality. Like, I needed to go fucking kill everybody in the desert. Like, I needed to confront everybody. And that's what I came up with. There was two things happening. There's a boy that needed to become a man, but then there's this warrior that needed to put his sword down and stop fighting everybody.
Mhm.
So when I came back down, what was interesting is that on day 3, I realized that all this my ancestors really wanted to do was just be heard. They didn't want to fight me. They wanted to be heard. And what I learned from the desert most was the power of just listening in solitude, listening to everything around you, as opposed to judging, projecting, complaining. And what I heard was, thank you for listening to our story. They wanted to tell a story. That's why I love your platform. Nobody heard their story. Nobody heard their story. They brushed it under the table. My grandmother was raped. My uncle was killed, stabbed 35 times. Brutal murder and just chaos in my family. And they just wanted me to hear their story. So when I came down the hill, I was like, fuck. Okay, I understand why I had all this turmoil inside. I was carrying it with me. That's how I felt. I just wanted to be heard. That's why this is helpful for me. I just want to be heard. I don't need to be understood anymore. I just want to be heard. Then now I get to tell my story that I'm part of the process now. So when I came down the hill, my whole demeanor changed. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't anxious. I hadn't healed stuff with my, I hadn't healed stuff with my mom yet. It was the first phase of me letting go of all this hurt and anguish and what I felt and what I experienced as a young little boy literally melted away. But I had to surrender to what I thought was going to happen. And I just had to let it unfold. That's why breaking my leg was so crucial, because I was going to go up there thinking I was going to conquer everything when, again, life happened for me. It was like, no, bro, you're 47. We're going to make you feel like a gimp among all these other kids you're with. And you're going to fucking go through it the way you need to put your sword down now. And I literally have a tattoo of a fucking guy right here, of a guy putting his sword down.
Wow. That story really resonated with me about and I shared it, I guess, last week about my sozo moment, that healing of the inner child, where I had to take ownership of accepting all criticism and living through it, and then having to forgive myself and move forward. But then as I was moving forward, I also had to ask for forgiveness to my child who had big dreams, because I chose to stay there and not move forward until now. And uh no, I mean, I would like to experience that. The longest I've done a fast is 21 days, and it was of course, it was in a nice AC place, my house and such. But and something about the fasting in itself does help give you such a clarity. I'm just curious, these stories, when your ancestors, when you heard the stories, and this is me being curious, how did they come to you? Like, was it kind of something you already knew, or they just come from within? If you don't mind me asking.
No, you gave me the chill. So here's the interesting story. I won't get in a lot of it because it'll take away the sanctity of it.
Fair.
But here's the bottom line. I woke up one morning. Back up. All week it was fucking hot. It was hot.
Yeah.
No clouds in the sky. I woke up on the specific morning, and I woke up and there were clouds literally rolling in. And there was a sunlight, and all the clouds were pink. I symbolized that was my ancestors coming in.
Oh.
And then I had to do this ceremony. The clouds were gone. There was nothing in the air. It was hot again. All of a sudden, a gust of wind came through. There's no fucking gust of wind in the desert. So what it made me do is I was so connected that it wasn't necessarily what was said. It was, I believe I was the first person in our lineage that accepted what happened as opposed to disregarded what happened. Most families that have secrets and demons and all these hidden things, they don't accept what happened. They disregard what happened like it never happened. That is why I believe spirits hang around and they're trying to get messages out, and why they push it down each generation. So there's anguish. They just want to be heard. They want to be accepted and not judged. I was the first person that didn't judge what happened to them. I just accepted it, and I told them my story, and we just sat in it and we cried and
Thank you. No,
we
you don't need to say anymore. I respect and I want you to protect
yeah,
that
yeah.
experience for those who still have to go through, who want to go experience for themselves and learn more about that. Like I said, I am curious to do it myself
Mhm,
too. No, I'm not curious.
mhm,
I'm more than curious. I'm in this path where I'm saying yes to things that are meant to tell my greatest story, and I want to experience the things and what I need to experience. Uh, I've actually made a list of what I'm going to share this with you if you don't mind.
sure.
Again, I'm defining on how I say yes to certain commitments, what I will agree to do now, and what I can't, and what I will not agree to it. Um, and so I've asked myself questions when someone says, "Hey, Josafat, will you come do this?" Or even if you just want to hang out, you want to come do something. Secretly in my heart, first thing I ask is, will this bring honor to my Creator? And the reason I say that, because I believe that and this is me going back to my philosophy in church and how I bring up, this is my choice and my belief, my faith in the spirituality is praise and worship is a coin that we used a lot for music growing up, at least in my circles.
Mhm,
I'm sure you're familiar with that. And praise, I've come to realize is everything and anything and everything we do in the physical, whether it's music, whether it's speaking, dancing, praying, reciting, prostrating, or even any kind of anything we do in our abilities is considered praise. And I like to tell everyone it has nothing to do. It doesn't do anything for God because He doesn't have an ego that needs to be pleased. But our praise helps anchor us and remind us of His goodness, of His faithfulness, of what God can do and will do for us. And it just kind of helps, gets us in focus. Praise is to keep us lined up in focus and prepare the atmosphere, if you would. And then, so worship to me has become obedience,
mhm,
simple obedience to, and I like to say, to the nature in which you were created to be.
mhm,
You know, walking in obedience to my utmost. Things that I've probably been too afraid to do simply because I was told I couldn't do it. I was living by other people's narrative. But now that I give myself permission to live my life, my story, I got to look at my owner's manual or get connected and say, all right, I want to walk in obedience, and I will honor you by saying yes to things that align with my nature, who I am meant to do. And so that's the first question I ask. Will this bring honor to my Creator? Basically, am I walking in what I meant to walk in? Second question is, will this bring me fulfillment? And we just kind of took that. I'm finally giving myself permission to pour into myself as opposed to putting others first,
mhm,
just so that I can work from a place of being filled. And then the next question I wrote is, and so will this help me leave a legacy? Because in the end, it is to bring back everything. So that has helped me centralize my focus on what commitments I say yes to, what commitments I don't say yes to. For example, this show, when I ask myself these questions, yes, absolutely, this interview with you and I meets all these criteria plus all the other ones. That's why I'm like, I say yes to this, to you as my guest. Although I think this is far greater than that. It's so, I love it when two roads are cross over, but they're kind of going towards the same direction, if you get my drift.
mhm,
But no, so I'm learning in my way to follow that plan. But I definitely, and so I'm doing these experiences. I'm trying out things. I was like, will this honor my Creator? Will this bring me fulfillment? And will this help me to leave the legacy that I'm working towards, so that I can live my greatest story, so I can tell my greatest story?
mhm.
Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because
Yeah,
you just remind me of this. I love how we're kind of in that. Also, so I'm looking for new experiences, different experiences. Now in my 40s, why not?
yeah. I would even add to that, or even let me see if this is the right way. I would even invite you to look at it this way: is is this experience that I'm about to do congruent with the passion that I'm following?
Mm,
And the reason why I say it that way is this is what happens with a lot of people that I've experienced. again, not there's no judgment, just giving you perspective of what I've seen with men specifically. Is men tend to pedestal things.
Mm,
And when we say creator, there's a pedestal. When we say these people in our life that we look up to, that's a pedestal. And immediately when we don't live up to that, we give ourselves a justification of why we can't do it. It's a noble thing, but when I had to do with even this gal I'm dating right now, she's my girlfriend, wonderful gal, is when I started talking with her, it's like, and we is like, is this congruent? And she was congruent with where I was headed. Like, just, I'm starting to make decisions. Is this congruent with the life that I'm headed towards and part of the process? If it is, it's an easy yes. If it's not, it's a fuck no.
yeah.
Right. And that has been the shift for me. This is congruent with this interview we're doing, this podcast is congruent. So I'm a yes to it. You know, as someone invited me to another podcast, and I said no because I saw the platform. It wasn't congruent. I don't want to just get on platforms and get on platforms. Is it congruent? So my decision making has changed. It's evolved to where instead of criteria for me, it's isn't in alignment or congruent to where I'm headed, what I'm doing, and what I'm all about. And right, part of my spirituality is, yes, it's aligned with that. So that's just something that I've worked with.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because again, the list is still I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
But I'm fine tuning my adventure story, my story.
I love it.
So that whenever I write my book, we'll follow that plan. No, that's some good stuff. What else was I going to ask you? Oh no, and the last thing made note about was that, yeah, you mentioned certain things, and I go and I want to learn. I even treat messages this way, sermons, just because the person on the platform says it's true. I doesn't mean I have to take it as word. I go and do my homework or do my research, and that's what led me to. And plus, it led me to watch Jetty stuff and watch and learn about something else that's bringing to me, or that I can use to help me grow and such. But no, I appreciate that. I've taken so many notes, my man. I love it. I'm a student first, always. But I mean, we can go with regular questions, or is there anything you'd like to add on? Because normally at this point, I'd like to say, what led you to start the your business, or have we defined exactly your business?
Yeah, great question. So I'll just tell us how this evolved. Okay, so I didn't have any inclination of writing a book. Granted, when you guys read the book, you realize that 2019 was the worst year of my life. 2020 was really redefining who I was. And 2021 was acknowledging where I was at. And 22 was, okay, we're going to get out and explore more. So 2022, I turned 50. And I'm in the best shape of my life now. A year and a half ago, I was still in good shape, but not as now. So I'm 50. We're in Cabo. Sister, brother-in-law, we're doing some stuff. We had hats that made that said 50 AF on it, 50 as fuck on it. And I'm in this is March of 2022. And I'd already gone through the process. I'd already been in different fields. People were asking me different questions. So things were aligning. And then someone said, in the pool with my drink, I was drinking still. They're like, who's 50 here? And like, that guy over there, pointing at me. Like, he's 50? And that's when it clicked. And then all the whole week, we're there a week, like women were coming up to me like, my husband has a crush on you because you're 50. What's your secret? 35-year-old guys are coming up to me. 40-year-old guys are like, you're 50? How? I got back and I started my business when I got back. I was like, I'm going to recruit 7 guys who want, and I just put it together how I thought might work. And it's just evolved and evolved and evolved. So to answer your question, what it's evolved into is through trial and error, through feedback, is my program is what I do every day. I basically said, here's a silver platter. Here's 4 pillars that I do. We're going to follow this. The difference is I wake up at 2:45. We'll get into that in a minute if you want, but I don't require my men or women to get up at 5 o'clock. You got to get up, but there's a structure, and basically I live my structure. So I'm teaching you what I do every day. So it's a simple process. It ain't easy, but it's simple. And there's 4 things you got to do. You got to wake up at a certain time. You got to journal, sit with yourself in the dark. You got to exercise in the morning with the process they give you. And you got to follow what I'm going to teach you to eat. And the program is a hybrid fitness and self-discipline program. And the idea is to reconstruct your process by deconstructing old ideas with daily habits and accountability. And we have a check-in process. I have an app that I can see what you're eating. I can see when you weigh in. So we're there. And I have a group program. I have an online course, and I have a one-on-one program. And it's just allowed me. So the book is basically a it's a it's just an end result of everything I put together, putting it on paper, because people are like, you need to tell your story. So the program is what I live. So I get to breathe it. I get to talk about it. I'm a walking example of it. I'm 51 and I'm living my best life, how I want to live. And I live a simple life, but I've really taken everything out that used to bother me. I've been sober for 560 days. Haven't had alcohol since I got back from Cabo. And I just really have redefined what I do to teach men how to shift and become their better selves.
No, that's good. Wow, that's really good. I wanted to ask you something, but just out of curiosity. But if it's part of your program and you like, no, I don't want to explain it, that's fine. We can just change it. But you mentioned about sitting in alone with yourself in the darkness. What's significant about that? If we're allowed, or
Yeah. So it's non-negotiable. You got to get up in the dark. So think about this. When does the day start?
I guess when you wake up,
No, the day starts at midnight. Is it dark or is it light?
dark.
So the day starts in the dark. You can't see the light until you go through the dark. When you wake up in the morning, your eyes will eventually adjust to the darkness. I'm teaching you how to deal with your feelings at 5 a.m. when you wake up. That's your true self, your negativity, how you wake up. So we deal with that person right there. And we journal, have you journal, have you go through a process, have you get everything out. And then we sit with ourselves like, how do we show up yesterday? You're answering your questions I give you. You're asking yourself questions. What did I do yesterday? Maybe I had an energy leak in my attitude and my words. Maybe I should. And then you start finding in a week little themes. And then you come back and we're like, hey, what happened? How to show up? And then we fix that one thing. Okay, you're doing this. Let's focus on that. And then we scratch that out. These little habits that you do, we just eventually we get to the belief system of why you drink, why you watch porn, why you overwork, why you get angry, why you overeat. All these things are symptoms of a belief system you have, but we can't get to the root of it until we understand that in solitude and darkness is where you find your true self.
Dude, that's good. Lately I've been getting up, and this is just me, what I do for my morning routine. I get my alarm goes. Actually, now my alarm doesn't even go off. We have this cat now that she likes to wake me up, usually half an hour before my alarm goes off, which is good. And normally I'm still in bed, but I'm awake, and I start just saying thankful. Do you remember in Dallas? I think her name was Tanya, who she had a long list of things that were going against her, but yet she had this positive attitude. She's also doing like TED Talks and such.
Yeah, TLC.
Yeah. Okay. No, not TLC. It was another a lady, Tanya. Anyway, the point is, she says, and I wake up every morning yelling, "Yes, I just hit something. Yes, I'm alive." And she goes, she has roommates that she annoys them when she does that. But I'm like, I like that. So that's the first thing I say, like, yes, I'm alive again. I don't yell it out loud. And then I'm there alone in my thoughts for about half an hour, and then finally I get up and like, all right, let's move. And then that's when I go into my workout routine, and then go out and walk, and I'm outside walking as the sun is coming out to enjoy the sunrise. Of course, this past 2 days we've had clouds and rain, so it's cold and damp, but I'm still out there being faithful, taking on this 30-day challenge that one of our mentors has given us to do something physical. every day for the next 30 days. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But no. That just caught my attention, and I love that you said that. How important? Yeah, when you're alone in the dark, I mean, that's the best time to let your just acknowledge the thoughts. In the past, what's helped me out was shadow working, and that's when you acknowledge the things you've tried to hide. Why are you trying to hide things from yourself? Let's see what it is. What's the ugly? What's going on that we need to acknowledge, accept, and kind of be thankful for the power that you can find from that, and then allow yourself to heal too.
Well,
Anyway,
especially men, though, right? Think about this. So,
yeah.
women, when they're born, they're naturally the way they're wired. They talk, they gossip, all these things that we don't do. And there's a point when you're like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old where you're no longer asked to share your opinion as a boy.
Hmm.
You're literally, we're structured logically to not be emotional about things. Now, some are different than others, but so we're structurally not taught how to express ourselves. So when men specifically get up in the morning, if you don't have an outlet, you just hold it all in. This way, quote unquote, of expression allows you just to get things on paper. There's more that I go through as the program evolves, but we start with the little things. We don't just add a bunch of things. We start deleting stuff. And so I strip it all down and we check in. But the idea is for the first time, men have an accountability partner who's going to be there for him. I understand your process. I understand where you're coming from. Now I have a different point of view, right? Because I've processed things and I'm observing things now as opposed to being absorbed in the shit. So I get to guide you now, right? And so that's the whole process of stripping everything down and just dealing with you. And then we talk man to man about what we got to do next and how we're problem solvers. So we get to the nitty gritty and we teach you how to solve your own equation or solve your own problem.
Dude, that's beautiful. That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That is much needed. And right now, I'm making a pause to say, encourage anyone who's listening or was listening to this in the future. One thing that Albert says, he shared this on platform, and even when we were talking one on one, he's like, some men just need a place to raise their hand and say, "Hey." It's like the heaviest thing to do to say, "Hey, I need help." And if you find yourself raising your hand right now, by all means, click the link that have in the description for Albert. Get a consultation with him, and 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 join the. It's Build Uncommon, right?
Yeah, Uncommon Man Movement built uncommon. So it's the same, but the idea is common men go nowhere. Joseph, common men, they go nowhere. And that's not that's not even mine. It's from it's a story of, it's called The Miracle. It's about the 1980 ice hockey team. Herb Brooks is the coach. There's a movie on it, and there's a scene where he basically calls these men out and says, common men go nowhere. You have to be uncommon to be remembered. And my platform is built on that. I want you to be an uncommon man. I don't want you to be another statistic of a man who's killed himself in depression, anxious, overeating, overindulging, overdrinking, and lost. You're drifting. Most men are drifting. I want them to be definitive, like masculine, unwavering, indestructible, unstoppable human beings. But you can only do that when you get your shit right. When a man is right, his world is right, and that's what it's surrounded by.
Mm. Okay, we hit an hour, man. I'm not sure how long you're scheduled to be on here.
It's all good, man.
We didn't even ask the questions I have normally on the roster to ask, as opposed of what challenges or did you find when you first started your business, and what have been some of the big life lessons. As far as life lessons, though, you've shared ton of value.
Mm-hmm.
You and this is just the tip of the iceberg, I believe, of the depth that you have given. As one of our mentors says, your wisdom is not common knowledge. And I know Albert has tons of wisdom on him, so please reach out. I mean, would you like to have any final words, or we can keep going if you have time? But
we keep going, or we can come back again. But here's the bottom line: is like, yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing special about me, guys. There's really nothing. I just got tired. I just got tired. I got tired of lying to people. I got tired of people pleasing. I got tired of the facade I was living. I got tired of being fake. And I just wanted to be different. I just wanted to be the man that I thought I should be. I wanted to be the man I most desired to be. I wanted to be the father I never had. I wanted to be the grandfather I never had. I never had a grandfather. And so I just decided and I put a plan together. I asked for help and I went to work and I did it with zero expectations of any outcome other than just being a better version of myself. So I could look at myself in the mirror and say, fuck yeah. The best gift I can tell you when you have kids or those that have kids is I look at dads out there right now and I see them with their kids, especially teenagers. They ain't proud of their dad. They're not proud. You can tell. Like, yeah, that's my dad over there. That's my dad. You know what my kids say? That's my dad over there. They say that. I've heard them say that. There's an incident. My son and I were working out about 6 months ago. I was in LA, and we're going and he's got some boys. I don't know. I don't know his people. And so guys come there like, I'm just doing my thing. Like, who's that guy? And like, he's like, that's my fucking dad over there. Like, that's your dad? And I go, what's up, man? Come join us. Like, that's your dad. Yeah. That's what I want for you men out there. Is for your people and your kids to be proud of you. They aren't proud of you if you're not proud of yourself. I'm proud of myself. If you don't have any self-respect, how do you expect them to respect you? That is the fucking bottom line. And I had to earn all of it, dude. All of it back. And it's hard truth. But the only way that I could get there is if I lived a life of authenticity to be truthful myself. That's the key. You could only live a truthful life if you're truthful with yourself. But if you keep lying and telling your own stories of justifying this, that, or the other, no one is going to follow you or be led by you because they don't trust you. The worst thing people can say about me is that I'm an asshole sometimes. But they can't ever say that I'm a liar or anything out of integrity. Nobody ever says that. They used to say that before. Every single person says, dude, you're rigid. Hell yeah, I am. I can never do that. I know you can't because you've already said it. So just leaving the audience like, yeah, man, there's a lot there, but you got to be accountable for who you are and how you want to show up and stop making your family and your kids and your work your excuse.
Powerful, powerful. And we need to hear that. We definitely need to hear that. I need to hear that. Definitely. Well, before I end this episode, I did put some links for you, but if you wanted to be found, where could people find you online, my man?
Well, obviously the easiest, I'm on Instagram. You could go at Albert Chavez Fit. If you wanted to go on a website, it's www.chavezfit.com. Or you could call me. Hey, shoot, my phone number is 916-230-1537. Hit me up. It's all good. Let's have a conversation. I know there are a lot of struggling people out there, and I know it's hard to ask for help. I understand that. And of your audience, to say only 10% are, that's okay. That's 1 out of 10. That's 10 out of 100. That's better than 0. So reach out. There's answers for you. but you have to surrender, and you have to really look at yourself in the mirror. Like, am I showing up for who I need to be? Or have I exhausted all my resources where I just need to do something different? And if you're at that point where I'm tired, you're at that point. It's okay. But not doing anything is not okay.
Thank you once again, Albert, for joining us today, for sharing your story, for challenging our listeners, especially the men who are tired of being common and want to get out of that rut, get out of that stuck, and leave something or do something. We got to become an uncommon man. I totally butchered that quote, but still, uh, it's and again, it's okay. It's okay. We have answers. We have help. We have people who who want you to find the best way to get to where you desire to be. If where you're at right now is not where you desire to be, reach out to us. We're here to help. I do recommend and highly recommend you guys to look up his book, From Darkness to Redemption by I was gonna say Isaac by Albert Chavez. It's on Amazon, or I'll ask him for a link and we'll update the description later on. But yeah, thank you again for coming to Hey Rockstar. I'm your host, Josafat Emiliano, coming to you from our studio here in Andrews, America. My guest today was Albert Chavez from North California, and author. He's an author. He is a father. He is a grandfather, and he is a mentor to uncommon men. And he's here to help. We're all here to help. So take what you listen to. Hopefully it brings value. Hopefully you can use it so you can go and become the rock star of your industry. And until next time, just want to wish you all much love and many blessings.
Thanks for having me.